We're live.
Well, everyone, it's an extra video this week because we're live. And today, this is the Screaming at Walls podcast. We make our hot takes on other people's hot stuff. And today, we got some pretty hot stuff. It seems like our boy Jakaya down below me, he wanted us to have a good reaction to a new Netflix show since it's Pride Month. We kind of already did like our Pride thing, but hey, we're super pro LGBT here. We can't get enough. Apparently it's a new show called Q-Force, which almost sounds like a strange combination of like Drawn Together along with like
Totally Spies.
Totally Spies, yeah.
Yep.
And so
I don't even know what to make from that analogy.
I know.
Because I've never seen this yet, and I'm already like, what?
I mean, it's kind of like appropriate. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of this besides like the first 2 seconds checking audio. So it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. There's been some people who have been kind of upset about this.
More than some, Twitter has it set where, like, the last I looked in the Vosh video or whatever his name is, the video he did, it had like 10K likes and like 9.5K dislikes. So it is definitely a controversial video.
Yeah, it is. Why? I mean, you know more about this. You were the person that actually brought this video to us and wanted us to have a reaction to it and see what's going on with it. Why would you say it's controversial?
One, it's cringy. Whether that's for good or bad, it's cringy. And, like, I can appreciate cringy, so, like, that's whatever. The other thing is that, like, it's pretty much just full of gay stereotype and gay characters, which, like, again, in the Vosh's video or whatever, he talks about... It is Vosh, right? Am I saying it right? Yeah, so...
Or if you go way deep in the lore, Irish laddie.
Anyway, so he talked about how, like, it's too little too late to be funny because now we have really good gay representation in media, especially children's media, so we don't need gay characters. Like, they're not funny anymore. And my opinion is the opposite. I think because we have gay characters or because we have such strong homosexual showing in media, it's okay to bring it back to the silly characters because that's not the only representation we have.
Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned that too. A solid point to make just on that alone is that being gay isn't so much the taboo anymore, right? So now it's literally just the norm. It's like anything else. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I think picking on somebody or poking some jokes at being gay or being anything else for that matter shouldn't really be offending anybody at this point. It's like,
yeah, I mean, is like the Boondocks offensive? Hey Matt, do me one really super quick favor. Pull your mic like just like an inch away from your mouth. We're catching a little bit of your breath. Yeah, I mean, like, is a show like the Boondocks offensive?
I mean, a lot of people would probably think so, but it's a great show.
I have yet to meet a single African American who would say that the Boondocks is offensive. Like, they feel that it comes from, and I mean, a part of it's the writing of Aaron McGruber. You know, he wrote it to where, like, all of the stereotypes that were brought forward and, like, picked apart, like, it was like, yeah, I mean, these are all things we know and we talk about, and it comes from, like, a good place. Cultures and stereotypes and things like that, if you're not willing to poke fun at them a little bit, I seriously wonder, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is more often when I see a group of people who are really against picking apart the stereotypes of their group or their group identity or their culture, it seems to be like, okay, why is that the case? And usually what I find is that those stereotypes tend to be more true, and they're like, hey, shut the fuck up.
Well,
like these negative stereotypes or something they don't really like. They're like, don't bring it up.
That's the concern we're in now. Everyone's getting really particular and very PC. It's that PC culture where everyone's really getting offended with the slightest things that you have to say. There's been a few comedians that have made jokes saying this is a dangerous business now, even for comedians, because they have to pick their topics particularly carefully now. So,
and I think go on. I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to mention the fact that this is a Netflix show, right? I think that's what I'm catching. If this is a Netflix show and if this thing gets enough dislikes, if they pull this show down, it's going to drive me. are way out of touch because the fact that most of the people were okay with like cuties, there's something fucking wrong here. So this cannot be any worse than that.
Part of it is so part of people's concern, and I can understand it, is it's less about it being necessarily offensive and more about it just being like those stereotypical representations that they aren't funny, they just come off more cringy than funny, and it is a little cringy. Like I already told you that I think that the commercial is cringy, but I think, like I said, I think that we are at a point where we have great gay characters in media. There's plenty. There's so many, and I think that it's okay to poke fun and be silly with the stereotypical characters as well, on the flip side of that.
Well, if this is entertaining, why the hell are we like that? That's just the point too. Is like if we find this entertaining, like if cringeworthy is what draws that level of audience, it's really simple for those that don't like it. You just don't.
Well, but you don't want. I mean, I can understand the idea of it being so cringeworthy, or essentially, if you design essentially a gay show that is targeted demographically towards like straight audiences to make fun of gays, I can understand that being like, no, we don't want this. Like, yeah, it might be funny, but all it does is shit on us. It's kind of like that same thing like we talked about in the last video, where it's like representation does, like, a lot of people misconstrue representation for like their ideology or their point being driven across the goal line, and that's not necessarily the case, So I mean, like, I can understand that. I would push back on that like a little bit of like, well, as long as it's something gay that's being put out, sure. But I would also say that there have been good gay stereotypes in media for a long time. Look at several of like Robin Williams' roles. He was a straight guy playing. I mean, was Robin Williams? Yeah, he was straight. He like had a wife, had kids, and shit like that. So he's like a straight guy. He played like several gay characters, or if they weren't gay, they were fucking like super questionable about their sexuality. Birdcage is still a movie that, as far as I've ever heard, every fucking gay person loves Birdcage. They think it's a great movie.
Well, and there's other great ones, like especially in cartoons, like one of the ones that Vosh brings up is Steven Universe. That's a pretty homosexual show in a lot of ways, with really great gay characters, and having those, I think, is what makes things that are the stereotype even funnier, because we can look at, yes, we are getting the good representation we deserve, and yes, we are a little silly sometimes, and that's okay too.
Sure. I mean, from what I saw of Steven Universe, of like Danny watching it, I was like, this is a garbage ass show.
Dude,
but
in the gay community, that show is a dream. People love it.
Oh,
They'd live and die for it.
Well, it's a rabid community. Fuck, man, who was it? There was some like fan art person who drew Steven's mom and didn't draw her like fat enough. Like, she wasn't like skinny, but she didn't draw her like fat enough, and that girl was like, yeah, no, I like got so many fucking death threats from this fucking community.
Yeah. It's really weird community, I'll be honest.
Any cartoon fandom, listen,
those are the best.
If you're over the age of 16, okay, and you're hardcore a member of like a cartoon fandom, go outside, touch some grass, guys. Just go outside, barefoot.
Hey, hold on. Wait a minute. Avatar's my shit. Come on now.
Yeah, but you aren't going online and like on like Avatar fucking forums to like sit there and just like talk about Avatar all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, I like Avatar, but it's like beyond watching the show Avatar. I'm not sitting here like fucking simping for my boy Aang. Like, it's not happening.
All right, let's watch this trailer and see what you guys think, because I thought it was certainly cringy, but still funny. So
first off, me and Matt are in dangerous territory, because if there's shit in here that we laugh too hard about, we're gonna be seen as pieces of shit.
Look, I already off the cuff think some stereotypical gay shit is fucking hilarious. Yeah. No differently than I find any other stereotypical shit. So if it's fucking well put together, I'm just gonna full disclosure, I'm gonna laugh my ass off.
So Jakaya, we need you to give us the gay blessing. Tell us that we're okay to laugh at this.
Yes, you're fine to laugh. The other thing that Vosh pointed out, real quick, just to let you guys know, I guess in the beginning, one of the things that he points out, there was an artist that worked on the show that was posting on Twitter about how the show is actually really good. It's just that they pieced together a really cringeworthy fucking trailer. So basically, he says that they took like the worst of the trailers, or the worst of the show, and made it into a trailer. And so to not hate it off rip, but I don't know for sure. That's just what an artist said on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have a feeling that in like, when is this supposed to come out? Like, whenever this fucking comes out, Jakai is going to be like, you motherfuckers have to watch it, and we're going to have to, like, recap to, like, follow up on this video.
I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll be funny, though. But, all right, I'm going to be
sitting there. I'm going to be sitting there with, like, my dad. He's going to be like, what the fuck are you watching? I'm like, it's for work, Dad.
God, I hope we can call this work at some point. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, right. It's their reaction channel. We'll get copyright. This is 100% going to get copyright claimed. I'm going to have to sit here and figure out some way to figure this out.
Yeah, I know.
This is great.
Anyway, let's fucking watch.
Hey, Twink. Oh, hey, girl. That's my job, Daddy.
Off the bat,
right.
Hey, Twink.
We're Q-Force.
Anyone who wants to complain about this being an unrealistic stereotype, Twink is clearly James Charles. He's fucking drawn like James Charles.
I'm pretty sure
Charles is a real person.
I'm pretty sure it is James Charles. There's a lot of voice actors.
It?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100%, but there's a lot of like gay voice actors in this too.
Oh, we're gonna look that up after.
We're the first queer agents in the field ever. That's called an entrance, by the way.
Slay.
Straight aim. What?
No, okay, it's not.
No, I didn't see James Charles on there.
The room's empty.
What even?
I wasted all that masculinity on nothing.
I wasted all that masculinity on nothing.
Butthole went boop.
Oh my god.
You can't pander to the gays, they can smell it. You're acting
Can you pander to the gays?
Hold on, keep going.
like Citibank at Pride.
My little butthole went
We're gonna go back.
Damn it. You can't pander to the gays, they can smell it. You're acting like Citibank at Pride.
Ellicor, stop!
That's good.
Down!
I mean, I don't know. While I can understand people saying like it's cringeworthy or something like that, I don't know.
There was nothing cringeworthy about that at all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I felt like the gay community seems to be a rather disparate group of individuals, and more so than any other community, I feel like the gays lean into their stereotypes super fucking hard. You know, look at most of most of the fucking gay stereotypes are just gay people based on like
dude,
some incredibly famous person who has massive support by the gay community.
Right.
So I pulled up the list of voice actors for the show, and I don't know. I guess Agent Steve was the main. But that is Sean Hayes.
Who's Sean Hayes?
Yeah.
Is that the guy who dies all the time?
Hayes?
No, I don't know if it's the guy
Wait,
who dies all
Sean
the time.
Bean.
And then one of these characters named
Sean
Rick
Hayes
Buck.
was Will and Grace.
Yes. Not that I've seen it, but I know of it.
Yeah.
So
Well, actually, fuck. There's another one. There's another show. I haven't heard anybody complain about Will and Grace.
A lot of gay people today say that Will and Grace does not stand up as like a good gay representation.
Really?
Yeah.
David Harbour
They
from
need to spend more
Stranger
time with
Things.
gays in the 90s.
You know David Harbour from Stranger Things? He was the sheriff. God, why can't I think of his name?
Cooper?
Hooper. Yes, he's in this.
Oh, okay. Who the fuck is he?
Right.
Oh my god. Who the fuck is he?
Agent Rick Buck. He looks like pretty much the only like meaty looking guy of the team. About what you'd expect from David Harbour wanting to pick a character, I guess.
Yeah.
Wanda Sykes.
Yeah, I heard her.
Yeah,
her
I
right
did
off
too.
the bat. She's cool. Is Wanda Sykes? Is she LGBT?
Lesbian, 100%. I'm pretty sure.
Is she? I didn't
David
know.
Harbour gay?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe. I don't
Not
know.
that it matters.
You had that NFL
Yeah.
player.
So
you had
What's going
Carl
on with this guy
Niski.
Twink? Is this supposed to be like trans or is it strictly gay?
I think
have
he's
no
just a
clue.
very effeminate. I think he's just a very effeminate gay man.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he is. Like
That's pretty fun.
I honestly, Twink legitimately looks like King James Charles.
fucking name.
Yeah,
character
the fact
name is
that that's
Twink.
his name. So I can definitely see why gay people could look at that and go, what the fuck? What even is this? And maybe that is the case where they did just cut together all like the most flamboyant, I guess, or the most stereotypical bits. But I mean, fuck, that might even be a marketing ploy because like it's just like, hey, all of the game, like we're catching
Down.
every fucking letter in
Now.
that acronym. Let's go.
Well, I think it's
the,
not so cringy. I think it's just hilarious. It's like
Well,
I don't know. It was cringy.
to
Was
two,
if you
to
remember
two
back on
straight
SNL,
guys, to two straight
Not
guys,
really.
it's not that cringy.
not really. Well, maybe because this is true. Fine.
Yeah.
I'll give Jakai that because do you remember was it SNL or Mad TV? Watch at night and they had the ambiguously gay duo.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that wasn't even softballing. That was cringy because it went from like straight up like butt fucking, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
The hell? Yeah.
I think the part that that feels really weird about this trailer is the inclusion of the Pride Parade. I think the interactions with the characters are fine. Like I think they're funny and characters and silly and whatever. But like, why did your trailer need to have a Pride Parade in it? Like that's the cringiest part to me. It's like they're
Because-
obviously gay characters. Like, hello.
Well, I mean, I don't know. When is this coming out? Is it coming out in June, Jakaya?
Well,
I don't remember when its release date is. I mean, that's when the
Yeah,
trailer came
I-
out. The trailer just came out like 4 or 5 days ago.
Oh,
like-
so actually, and yeah, it probably can't come out
The
in
only-
June.
the only
Like right
flag
at the end of
to me
this.
on a
it's-
show like this-
September. It comes out in September.
The only flag to me on a show like this is its authenticity to just creating a show, just under the premise of, hey, here's a show about some gay superheroes, right? Cool. But if it's a show that, like, yeah, right? But if it's a show that's overly pandering to the gay community and the trans community and all these guys, like, hey, look, we're all supporting gays. Like, all right, look, calm your fucking LGBTQ ass down. Just stick to the show of just make a couple gay guys, because I'll bite.
There's nothing pandering about this. Like that's the problem.
No,
Not
I know.
necessarily
That's
the problem,
because
but
you
it's
mentioned
that
that-
it's the
because you
opposite.
mentioned- Right. Well, because you mentioned that Pride Parade. Like, why would they put in a Pride Parade? That's where I was like, well, that could be a little bit of a catering and pandering
Well,
to that.
I
thing,
think
but
they
that's
actually
all I
just-
think.
Yeah, I think they actually just gave you the answer, though. The end of that trailer was, you can't pander to the gays. You just can't. You end up looking like Citibank at Pride. So that could actually be like a shot across the bow of them going like,
Yeah.
hey, listen,
Yeah.
we're not pandering to you guys. We just wanted
Yeah.
to write a show. We're being
That's-
open about not pandering to you.
Vosh comments on that line being really stupid either. He said that he felt like the entire trailer would have been validated if they said you can't pander to the gays, you'll end up looking like Netflix at Pride. And he said if they would have made fun of themselves, it would have been like 10 out of 10, but the fact that they chose someone else made it like more cringy. I'm not really sure. Like I don't know.
That's reaching. I mean, I would look at that as literally
opinionated too.
Netflix looking at the gay community, going, "Hey, we like this show. We're obviously not trying to pander to you, really.
Yeah.
Here it is. Watch it if you want." And I can appreciate that to an extent. I can certainly see why it's controversial within the gay community. But I would probably chalk this up to people. I mean, first of all, it's just the trailer. You can't really know. Maybe people will watch it and find it incredibly interesting and find it like, oh no, this fucking nails it. I'm sure you could go back and look at the trailer for the Birdcage, and probably that seems fucking pandering to an extent. I mean, shit, there are a lot of characters in the Birdcage that by today's standards, you could make the argument in the same way that they were very pandering. But you just have comedians going and doing what comedians do. If I were to talk to someone and they were to find this like irreconcilably offensive. I'd probably say they're being a little bit, sensitive.
I think 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I think this would be potentially offensive because we lacked such good gay characters in media back then.
Sure.
To where like bringing out the stereotype just felt like that was all we had. But now like I feel so proud in so many gay characters that like this stuff comes off to me as like, yeah, these people exist. They're not the norm or they're not everyone in the gay community, but they exist and it's funny. And those people
Well,
know themselves.
and this is the same production that brought forward Big Mouth, which had the gay fucking middle school kid in there who met with the old queen, who was like, listen, being bitchy and gay is not a personality. Like just called him out on the fucking table for it. Yeah, fuck you.
Well, and again, too, right? We're also past the point of like, again, so being gay is not a taboo. So it's like if somebody just outright goes, "Hey, I'm gay," it's like, cool.
Gabe Liedman.
What do you want?
Apparently, Gabe Liedman is the guy who wrote it. Written by Gabe Liedman. He also wrote Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay.
And the
I
Kroll
fucking
Show,
love Brooklyn
Inside
Nine-Nine,
Amy
dude.
Schumer.
That's great.
Ugh. Inside Amy
If he
Schumer.
wrote Brooklyn Nine-Nine, dude, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is some brilliant fucking writing.
Not all of it. I don't think
Yeah,
he
he
wrote all of
wrote
it.
episodes.
He wrote 29 episodes.
Oh, still,
29
like I'm
episodes.
yet to. I have seen a few episodes where they're kind of just like meh, but I've yet to see one that was just fucking awful.
And
like,
then he
they're
also wrote
very good.
16 episodes for the Kroll Show and 10 episodes for Inside Amy Schumer.
So he worked
This could
with
be
Nick
like
Kroll
a
as
this
well.
could be like a Futurama show too, where if it gets a good fan base, like you could just have this drawn out nonsense of episodes.
I doubt that with Netflix. They tend to cut things off at like a couple seasons. I think they're learning their lesson from Stranger Things, where it's like season 1, phenomenal. Season 2, people are there. Season 3, people are like, this is getting awful. Hey, no one
You
wants
didn't like
this.
season 3?
No, I didn't.
Oh
No,
no!
I didn't think it was very. I think everything past season 1 is downhill.
I thought 2 was really good, and 3 was kind of like, all right, man, give me something new.
Yeah,
Because
I
because they introduced Russians, and I'm like, what?
well, that's what I'd
Cold
say.
War
Like
what?
season 3 was just not. Season 3 to me was just not good.
I'll agree with you.
It
on
had
season
the
3.
most. It had terrible
Not the best.
characters. They had way too many. They didn't know what to do with all of the characters, so you had like
Well, their
85
problem-
different plot threads going on and shit.
Their problem is that like, hey, they're like Rick and Morty, where it's like, hey, we'll put out the next season in about 3 years. By the time that season comes out, you're like, what the fuck was even going on?
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
Russians?
You end
Like,
up.
wait,
Yeah,
what?
you end up having to like binge the whole thing over again. which
Yeah,
just
that's
makes it
actually where-
really-
Every
Yeah.
time I read a book series.
It's like, why have I read this book series like 18 fucking times? It's like, well, because I'm an idiot.
Every time they release a new
like-
book. Go on.
Because I have the memory of a fucking goldfish.
Oh my God, you know who would be good in this show that you're showing the Q for us? Jeff Goldblum.
Fuck yeah, he actually would. Dude, he recently had like some National Geographic, or maybe it was on Netflix, but he had some show where he just went like going on about random fucking things. One was like this gene thing, and he like kept like touching this guy and commenting on like how the genes fit his fucking body and shit like that. And the guy was clearly so fucking uncomfortable. Like you felt so like, Jeff, stop talking about his crotch, man. Fuck. Like,
I love Jeff Goldblum.
like the guy's
man.
just like, yeah, I'm on this fucking show, but can you please stop like fucking assaulting me here? Move on to anything else, please, God. But back to this. I don't know, man. I mean, like it will need time. Off the trailer alone, I think if you're really upset about it, I think you're being a little overly sensitive. But I could be wrong.
I agree.
I guess what parts specifically would be considered, like if you can identify one part to me, Jake, like that's like this. This is where people will be pissed.
I mean, I don't know about other people, like I said, but I felt like the Pride Parade part, like, or in all the flags waving around and stuff, like, why? The characters are clearly gay. The characters are spies. Like, we don't
Well, like,
need you to show like a Pride event to show us that, like, even if the Pride event is in the show, like, that's fine if they go to a Pride event, like, that's totally cool. You don't
that
need
could
to
be the
show us a Pride event in a trailer for us to know that these characters are gay. It's not.
Yeah.
You just like.
Yeah.
It feels
I
really,
feel like
really
it's
off-putting.
pretty obvious.
I think
So-
it's their bit where it's like you have these very over-the-top gay, heroes or what have you, characters, let alone heroes, characters that are just, it's like almost within seconds you watch us, you're like, okay, they're not even like hiding it, they're just gay. So cool, you already know that. And then you see and I think that's part of the joke is like, oh, Pride Parade, and then it's like, the show's gonna make this go, yeah, no shit, we get it, you're gay. Like,
Yeah, but that doesn't. That doesn't make for a good trailer, though. Like, I think that it's just like poorly. I just think it's poorly written, and that's. But I think the rest of it is fine. Like, I think every other bit is fine, even though like it's all silly and it's all nonsense. But like that part just feels so forced that like that part of the trailer, that 5 seconds that it's up, is like we could cut this, and the trailer would be better.
Jesus, Jakai, you're acting like an overly critical gay guy here. Calm down, all right?
I mean, I guarantee you that episode that deals with Pride is they'll be like, we got information that there's some bad guy group that's gonna attack Pride or do
Right.
something to Pride and
Like,
like turn
who
all the gays
gave the
straight.
fucking
They got a
antagonist-
straight serum or something, and
Right.
we gotta go stop it. Something like that. So they have to go like into Pride or something.
I mean, that's fine. Again, gay people going to Pride is fine. It just felt like if you're going to show a trailer about what your TV show is about, you don't need Pride to be there. It's pointless.
It felt
Okay.
forced. I get it.
Yeah, I can
get
understand it. Plus, in a sense, again, man, I do wonder if like this is the goal. With the you can't pander to the gays, they'll sniff it out. That kind of thing. Like the gays know really well when they're being pandered to, and then you have like all of the exaggerated stereotypes and this kind of like concept coming forward. I have to believe that it's intentional. I have to believe that all of this is completely intentional. Like they feel
Vosh,
too obvious.
In the video, in the reaction video that Vosh posts, he says something about one of the people in chat. Talk about it being rage bait, and then Vosh by the end of the video is like, dude, this video could absolutely be rage bait. Just exists to incite as many people as possible to get as many reactions as possible. That's what the trailer could be.
Totally could be. I mean, I don't see how, again, I don't see how on the face of like the show, like the movie Cuties, do you sit there and like not like know what Netflix went, this could probably piss off some fucking people. I don't see how that couldn't be the case. So maybe that is. Yeah, maybe they are just trying to sit there.
And thinking about it more to Jagai's point, because I had kind of made the same point, so like, well, I think that's part of what they're kind of going for in their comedy twist, and even then, like again, so the more I think about it, it kind of makes a little more sense. It's poorly chosen for a trailer, in the regards that, look, if your goal is to have like rage bait or some kind of like humor towards what is the obvious gay community, right? So we're having a show that's kind of like this over the top gay community, like haha. And this is our joke. This is what we're going to play jokes on. This is going to be, stereotypically hilarious. And in a trailer, they didn't really send it entirely home, where they didn't swing full force to that was their delivery. Or maybe they tried and they didn't do enough, so it kind of left a lot of this like, you guys tried yourself. The more I marinate on, I can see what Jakai would say as far as like, well, it probably shouldn't have been in the trailer. Or if at the very least, if it was going to go in the trailer, probably should have leaned more on it to make known that, hey, this is the style of comedy as well that we'll be implying into it. So, but.
Well, I would say they got their. Are you saying that you don't think they went hard enough to make it more over the top, to make it very clear, like no ambiguity whatsoever, or what?
Not so much that they didn't go over the top, but like, so let's say a Pride Parade, it's a joke on the fact that we're, say, rage baiting, right? But it didn't quite send that point home, right? Because people are speculating, like, oh, I think this is why they did it, because they were trying to rage bait, or perhaps maybe just trying to poke fun at the Pride Parade was a notion that, no shit, we get it, everybody's gay in this goddamn show. but they didn't drive that point home far enough for this trailer. It almost seemed like, why was that there? Well, maybe because, but they didn't
Right.
do it enough in the trailer to kind of really drive that message home that, look, this is part of what our goal is for this show. So yeah, maybe they didn't do that enough. I didn't mean not necessarily over the top gay. You got that. They literally just said, when you enter the door, your butthole went boop. It's like, yep.
Well,
You guys already did it.
Well, and like for instance with Pride as well, like they didn't show Pride for any purpose other than to exist for gay. If the characters were like crashing into Pride for some stupid fucking like spy nonsense, I think it would have been a perfectly fine scene. But the fact that they're like gay characters doing spy shit, saying that we're the first spies, photos of Pride, and then the characters in the room. You know what I mean? Like it was literally just a filler.
Yeah, it was literally just them doing things, and then videos of like people in leather dancing at Pride,
Right.
And then cut to them doing things. Like, I guess yeah.
Whereas had they been had they been like crashing into Pride or something stupid spy related, like that would have been funny. It would have been perfect. But like it just missed the mark on that one moment. I like the rest of the trailer. It's really just that like 5-second segment of Pride where the characters aren't even there. That it's like, why though? This is a trailer about gay spies, and they're not even in this part.
So we can all agree, essentially, that the trailer was like 90% hits the mark, and then you have like this 10% of like, what is this even doing here? This feels like pandering.
That's how I feel.
Again, I almost feel like they understood that, and that's why immediately fucking after that, like, well, not immediately after, but like within fucking 10 seconds after that, they had the person on screen outright looking directly at the camera. You can't pander to the gays. They'll smell it out, you know. I feel like that might be, but maybe. So we can all pretty much just agree that like 90% of the trailer.
Probably right.
If that's what we're going to consider subliminal messaging, a character outright looking at the camera. Like, I felt like that was about as subtle as like a brick through my window.
But to your point, Nigel, I think we can pretty much agree as a collective that like 90% of it is good, and then there's a little 5-second window where we're like, what? And then it's fine again.
Yeah.
So I guess everyone kind of knows my take on it is that I think if you're overly critical of this trailer right off the bat, you're probably being a little insensitive off a 55-second trailer. Do we think the controversy is earned? Because I understand why, but essentially the only rationale I have for why there is controversy about this video is just because it's fucking 2021 and it's on the fucking internet. You know, like I'm pretty fucking certain that if I go downtown and I go to one of the bars where I know there's some fucking gay bartenders and I go, hey, did you see this? Did you laugh at that? They'd probably go, I had some chuckles. And I'm not going to trip about this shit because I have better things to do with my fucking life.
And it offends you and you have to go to social media to complain? What? No. I work 9 to 5.
I mean, my counter argument to that is, first of all, they put these out on social media. The people who made this trailer put it on social media. So, like, saying, like, oh, you went to social media to complain, like, well, this is where people watch these things. Social media is an intrinsic part of our lives, whether or not people accept that.
Well, but he's saying, did the person in this hypothetical, did the person that I go to, that I'm confident that they'd be like, yeah, I didn't think about this for more than 2 seconds. I had like one laugh because I know a guy like that. Right. You know, that kind of thing. And he's going like, did you feel like you needed to go onto social media to complain? And the person was like, no, I have a job. I have better things to do with my fucking life than sit here and bitch about a fucking Netflix trailer.
I mean, maybe, but we don't. Having a 9 to 5 doesn't exclude you from a 5-second window to complain about something, truthfully.
But what I'm getting at, the question hold on real quick, Matt. The question I'm getting at is, do we feel that that the controversy surrounding this trailer right now is warranted?
Well, okay, again, so my point, like, one, they knew what they were doing with the trailer. Like, you splice these trailers together as someone who intends to put it on social media. So, again, they either, like Vosh claims, like they rage baited, or they really are just ignorant to the things that may offend people. But on the flip side of that, like I think that they knew what they were doing, but I don't think that it has that much hate in it. I feel like that's a really like an over exaggeration.
So you would feel that if someone said, we need to get this show canceled, you would be like, that's ridiculous, or would you
over a trailer, I would consider that pretty dramatic.
Okay. Matt, what do you think?
I have a large resentment for most of society and culture, especially when it comes to the internet today. So when it comes to like trailers like these that come out, the popular trend is if I don't like it, the squeakiest wheel gets the lube. And so if somebody doesn't like something, all they have to do is bitch loud enough, and then they get it canceled regardless of what the hell it is. Some things, have certain merit and warrant for cancellation. Like I had particular issues with Cuties, and it wasn't because it was fucking distasteful. That's just really what it was. It was an absolutely distasteful fucking show. But then you have a lot of people on social media, which is such a fucking issue in today's society, where they want to cancel the next thing that just does not align with them. So, say you have, Jakai, you guys, most of all of us are well within that older age bracket where it's like we have better things to do and to not be overly critical on a lot of things. But it almost seems like you have like this very young targeted group of people that are just like, no, you know what? I can complain about anything I want, whether or not there's legitimacy there or not. That I'm complaining. It's just for the sake of complaining. And this is where it's like somebody would bitch about the show, and it's really just because they want to bitch.
I also want to point out. I always have this discussion with one of my employees at work. She complains a lot about children. Let me tell you, the biggest group of complainers I've ever met in my whole life are the older generation. Like I'm talking like 60s, like the boomer generation complainers. They want everything their way all the time. And I might get a lot of hate for this, but I don't think that complaining is exclusive to like a young generation to get their way. I think it's just that they are more active on social media.
I think the sweet spot target, because you're right about that, and I think what's going on here is you have this massive split in generations where boomers and millennials have like this bitter resentment towards one another, and they blame each other for everything. I'm talking, so like you were saying, you have the 50s and 60s, and then I'm looking more like 18s to like 25s, right? Ish. I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist on this. I'm saying like,
wait, hold on, real quick. I can clear this up because we had a bit of a miscommunication. Jakai, he wasn't saying the older generation complains less. He was saying us three are in a point in time in our age bracket of groups to where we're like, we have other shit to do with our lives to be overly fucking concerned about various different things on the internet.
Well, and not only that, but
I will also say, Matt, real quick, Matt, you are saying this while we are three people critiquing a 55-second trailer for like, 40 minutes now?
Right, but what my argument was before was saying, yes, we are critiquing a video, but I'm not asking for it to be condemned and canceled. And that's what today's social media wants to do, is if they don't like it, they want to cancel it, get rid of it. I don't give a shit. It's as simple. If you don't like it, don't fucking watch it, man. If it's fucked up, if it hits a mark that is borderline overly offensive, South Park hasn't been fucking banned. No, explain that one to me. And I love South Park, and I know why. Like, and you want to talk about something that's over the top, cringy, and can't say that they're ignorant writers because they know damn well what they're fucking doing.
Yeah,
it's like Jesus Christ. What the fuck? No.
Well, that I think gets us into an interesting kind of delineation right there, because you said that you felt that Cuties really should not have been up on Netflix, and you had a lot of issues with it. And I guess what would you say would be the differentiation between this as a cancelable thing and Cuties?
Well, there has to be a line drawn as far as what's so like.
And I'm asking where that.
No, I know. A line. I don't fucking censor TV shows, but something that borderlines like pornography should be listed as pornography. We understand that. You go to fucking Pornhub to watch porn. not YouTube. I can understand why these videos get taken down. And when you sexualize younger children, that's considered a federal offense on anywhere else on the internet. That's a line. That is a hard line where you have to go, yeah, that's just not appropriate.
Yeah, I mean,
Again, like you can find that's where like it's almost I don't want to say common sense because the question will be like, well, all right, so what is common sense? I guess we'd have to pick apart a particular topic. Say again, nudity. Where do we draw the line for pornography and nudity? Well, again, we know what pornography is. Nudity is okay. Game of Thrones showed some titties and all kinds of nonsense going on there. But again, right?
Game of Thrones
Child
showed
pornography.
full frontal nudity, pretty consistent.
Right. Right, but child pornography, like anything like that, sexualizing children. I mean, let alone that you're gonna fire up a ton of parents. But even if I didn't have kids, I would be uncomfortable as shit watching this because it's like, dude, that's a half-naked kid.
Well, and not that it's real. It's Nigel and I have talked about this before, but
I think I know what you're about to bring up.
Big Mouth has a scene where these girls are talking about their beautiful bodies, and they're walking through a spa, and the girls are naked walking through this fucking spa. The children
they're not
too.
just naked; they're singing and dancing while naked in this sauna.
Yeah.
And I won't. I mean, personally, I stopped watching Big Mouth because of a lot of that. I felt like, okay, I can't like this was the intent. They even say so in some episodes. Like they have like a flashback episode kind of where they all talk about various different things, one of them being abortion, and like the joke that came with that, it's like, fuck it, sure, we'll talk about this. We're probably getting canceled. We're probably gonna get canceled anyway, so sure, screw it. You know, like they outright practically say that to the camera. You know, and I personally stopped watching Big Mouth because there were a lot of things that went on in Big Mouth that I was like, this is funny. This is towing a line.
That's exactly what I felt about
this is towing a line right now.
It had good potential for some good comedy, but there was too many moments where I was like, fuck, man, and the nudity was there. I was like, damn, you guys are really pushing hard on something that's gonna get like it felt fucking weird. Like there was a moment in episodes where I'm like, is anybody fucking watching me? Because I'm gonna get in trouble.
I mean,
FBI's gonna be knocking on that door any minute now.
So how do you guys feel about like nudist colonies?
Again, pornography is fine. Nudist colonies are fine.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
again,
I don't have a problem.
No.
Children, and it's the audience in which it draws. Like,
okay, so with a nudist colony, everybody is naked, children included. So like,
yes,
what is your
the difference is one is put on national television. You have to go to a nudist colony and get accepted into the nudist colony, and like this is kind of your lifestyle, and you separate you explicitly separate that from the wider society.
Yeah, sure.
This was like a show put out on a public
you don't
platform
publicize it either.
that goes forward, has a lot of things like nudist colonies tend to understand that it's like, listen, if we do this out in the world, we expose ourselves to criticism that, you know, for the most part, it's like, this is valid criticism that like the society that exists outside of our nudist colony, that's the terms they fucking set.
Right.
You know, and so I'm not asking to cancel Big Mouth or anything along those lines. It's like, yeah, you can put it on there and watch it if you so please. I just said that I did not want to watch it,
right?
And I do not want to watch it in that sense, because what I felt was like, as I watched this, I was like, this feels fucking hella uncomfortable.
I guess for me, it just like it gets a pass because there's no sexualization whatsoever. Like from watching that episode, I can't imagine, like I can't think of any sort of like sexual meaning behind it.
Yes, but at the same time, Jakaya, if you walked into my living room and you saw on my computer pictures of me looking at a nudist colony and I was, you know, camera focused in on the children, you would have some fucking concerns. You'd be like, what are you doing right now? You know, and I mean, like, that's fucking valid. Like, that's a valid criticism to make of, like, you going over and it's like, oh, what are you watching right now? Oh, just watching a documentary on nudist colonies.
No,
you know, pretty cool. They focus on the kids a lot. and tangentially to the rest of the show, they sexualize those kids pretty often. Like, that's a big part of the show.
That's the point of the show.
Right.
It's about puberty.
Right. But they don't tend to like I guess for a lot of ways they don't tend to sexualize them when they're naked and stuff. Like, because it does toe a line, and I'm not disagreeing that it toes a line.
Unless you're the kid fucking his pillow.
Well, yeah.
He's not full board, but I mean,
But again,
they do
it was
that quite a
fucking
bit.
funny.
Yeah.
But my God, it was really funny.
I guess the reason that I still accept it is because I remember how like fucked up children are going through puberty, and I get it.
Yeah.
It is an
Yeah.
over exaggeration, of course, but
Well, and that's why I didn't say I think they were getting into abject child pornography. Like, there were a lot of things in Cuties that you could look at and go, this is over there. You guys actually have like 12 and 13-year-olds here, and you got like a camera guy, probably some 40-year-old camera guy just coming right in on their pussy. You know, it's like this is clearly like something you should be fucking like aware of.
Before we lose touch on that, because you were talking about explaining yourself under a bad situation, and the only relatable instance I have this, because it's funny that you brought that up. Like, if you were ever on your computer, how would you explain
fucking
yourself?
careful? This is going to go on the internet for.
It's all right. It's not completely relatable. The only amount of this that is relatable is the fact that I've had an incident where I was on my computer and I had to explain myself in a very, very awkward scenario. And I was working at Smith and Wesson, and I was talking to a woman about holsters, different holster styles and types, and blah blah blah, so on and so forth. They were discussing different types of shoulder holsters, inside holsters, purse holsters, blah blah blah, that good stuff. And she said, "Well, what about bra holsters?" And I said, "Well, I'm really not familiar with it." And she goes, "Well, this is what I'm looking at. Tell me if you think how practical this would be, or something to that effect." And I was like, "All right, hang on, doing it for the customer. Look at bra holsters, right?" And when you look at pictures, you get all kinds of different holsters. However, unfortunately, it's like Victoria's Secret for some reason. They're like models showing up like bras with guns in it.
They know who they're marketing to.
Right? Of course, my supervisor just so happens to round that corner and goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, wait, hang on. No, there's a gun. I'm on the phone. There's a gun. I'm on the phone with a lady. There's a gun in there. It's a holster. I swear to God, I am not looking at porno work. He's like, close it. IT checks the browser history. I'm like, really? We can get pinched for that? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, Jesus. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hard one.
So we didn't quite get the answer to that question of where that delineation is of like what ought to be canceled and what really is not worthy of being canceled. For me, I would say if you're doing something, if it's something that could be considered illegal, again, to delineate the thing with cuties, because we're just using like 3 different examples right now. We got Big Mouth, cuties, and Q-Force.
Yeah.
Big Mouth does things that I'm sure had a lot of questions by like the FCC, as they were like, all right, man, you're gonna have to fucking really explain this shit to us. Cuties, on the other hand, you actually had like, instead of like adult actresses who they then put in scenes to represent younger girls, you actually had very much underage girls doing overtly sexualized things on camera. And it's like, by many definitions of what we would consider child porn, like that's towing the line of fucking child porn. So like that, I was like, I get it. So that would more or less be my kind of line. Is like, if you're doing something that could be considered illegal, I can understand a cancellation event or something.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing something that would be considered illegal, for me, that's just not really the thing.
The nice thing about freedom of speech is that, well, no, I mean, even like that, like, so the nice thing about like creating a show that may be overly offensive or overly racist, for that matter, we live in a society that is not particularly racist, and people just ain't gonna tune into that shit. Stuff like that just dies out. It's like they're not gonna. There's no sense in canceling it because they're probably not gonna get out past the first season, right? And so it's come and gone, and not too many people watch it. Whereas shows that are entertaining will always pick up trend. So that's where it's like, let the course of how people watch shows eventually cancel them out. Like, no sense sticking your nose in just because you thought that the gay joke that demands that was really, really mean.
Well, but what if it? I mean, okay, so what if it was like? Man, this is like a hard question to phrase. What if it was something where you just had some character similar, like a throwback to, the 19 fucking 80s or the 1970s, where you did have a character who was just throwing out like F slurs, or was just consistently using the N word? Because I mean, that is something a lot of people don't think about. Where it's like, yeah, not that long ago, saying these phrases, saying these slurs was widely considered just like acceptable. We all have parents who are into their 60s. I know that I can speak with my dad, and he can talk about a time where it was like, oh yeah, man, like there was a time where like people thought like black people were closer to fucking monkeys than human beings. He's like, and I remember that time. Like I remember people going like, yeah, no, it's totally fucking true. And he's like, it's fucking wrong and fucked up, but that was like a cultural norm. And there was a time where calling someone, the F slur, was pretty common. Fuck, Bill and Ted did it. Bill and Ted did that in I think it was the second movie where Robot Bill and Robot Ted threw the other two off. And Bill and like real Bill and Ted were like, I love you, Ted. I love you too, Bill. And they were just like, bags, I mean, that was the joke, and no one said poo about it at all.
And it's like again, right? You can't favor a particular show based on the criteria in which we have. We know that, like, provided that there are, people have like, oh, this has, strong suggestive language or maybe violence or this and that. They always put those warnings in shows so that like, hey, this show has this or that. You can't let a kid watch this show if we're gonna drop N F words or anything like that. And it's like, well, how do I feel about particular shows like that? You can't cherry pick shows because they use the F word or the N word because they said it. I mean, Django Unchained did it too, and nobody seemed to have much issue with it there. But it's like, okay, at what point do we draw a line to say we can censor out individual words? Like it's the viewers end up ultimately deciding whether or not watching it or unwatching it is that choice. So it's just that
but it's also a business. So like if they don't, so let's say the gay community has totally exiled the word fag, and let's say we have decided that if it said,
you're the only one that can say it in this chat, not me.
We absolutely cut that show out forever. I know, but you were quoting a TV show or a movie, so we'll let it go.
I'm fucked anyway. It's okay.
But so let's say that we outlaw that from any movie or TV show ever as a gay community.
Sure.
So if they choose to keep putting it out and we keep lambasting them for it, that company is going to go under. Those companies aren't going to make it. So like they have to make the choices to not utilize those things as per their viewers' choices. Otherwise, it's not going to work out for them. It's just not.
Well, we shouldn't slander outwards because if you take away the word like.
So Jakaya is okay with not baking the gay cake.
Not making the gay cake?
Yeah. So by the logic of your rationale there, you're okay with the cake maker who it ended up, I think, going in front of the fucking federal courts about the gay couple that sued him because they wanted him to make a cake for their wedding and they wanted him to make a gay cake for their wedding, and he was a religious guy. He went, well, listen, I'll make a cake, but I'm not gonna put if you guys want to put two fucking dude little pieces on it or whatever, sure, but I'll make you a cake, but I'm not going to make I'm not going to cater your wedding.
He was he was anti. He wouldn't support the gay wedding. So yeah.
First of all, let's call him what he is, a homophobe. But I mean, I am because. For the most part, like I'm cool with like free business and stuff like that. Like I work at a business and I utilize, like it's not mine, but I utilize a lot of the rights of private business in order to tell people to leave or not be disrespected at work. So like I can't halfway be in favor of it, in my opinion. But I also believe in, like, we all talk about not being okay with cancel culture. But let me tell you, in an instance of someone being like, I don't want to bake that gay cake, I hope that every fucking person that like, if I go to a cake maker and they're like, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to tell all my friends not to go there. I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to tell everyone on the internet that I know I got to go there. And I'm going to pray to God they get shut down for being homophobes. Yeah, they have every
That's
right.
totally how it works.
They have every.
Should you be able to sue them?
No, I don't think so. I think that's ridiculous.
Boycotting works just fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because that's how that works. Hey, how was your experience at this bakery shop? The guy was a dickhead. I mean, I can go elsewhere. There's a million other places. He just loses my business. That's literally his loss.
Yeah, but the thing
Not
is,
only
like,
that- No, I get what you're saying. And then not only that, the boycotting ends up ruining his business in the long run, provided there's enough people that look at this guy being, ignorant in a homophobic way that just, it doesn't work out.
But isn't that cancel culture? You say you don't like cancel culture, but isn't that what that is?
Well, cancel culture, and I feel like
Yes.
boycotting a
I
business,
made the
right?
chaos.
So perhaps
I did
there
it!
could be a slight difference because in boycotting a business, it's kind of I feel like boycotting almost, and I could be wrong. Like I'm just spitballing here. I almost feel like it's more cultural within your community, right? Because a lot of people go to their local shops, and so if I find out that there's a racist bigot or a homophobe that's kind of really overly over the top with gays, it's like, and so say if I bumped into you down the street, it's like, hey man, I was gonna go pick up some food, and this guy down the street makes really good cakes. I'm like, just so you know, this guy's a complete homophobe. And you're like, really? It's like, yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't support him as an asshole, but that's up to you. Certainly does spin the wheels that would almost resemble cancel culture, but where I think the difference lies is that you have almost on like a global scale, because one of the things we see with cancel culture is you have everybody and anybody is allowed to voice an opinion regardless if they have had any kind of experience with this particular person, even though there may be some word of mouth, but they may not ever even have any interaction with that business. It's just that, no, I want to be as loud as I can and get everybody that I know, anybody for that matter, and get that business shut down because I didn't like it.
Yeah, but
So what you're actually touching on, real quick, because what you're actually touching on is fundamentally correct. There is a difference between what we would consider cancel culture and boycotting. Cancel culture is actually an aggressive act going forward at something. You are getting a mob of people together, whether it be online or not, to go forward and try and get that business shut down. Boycotting is you are going out and saying, we should not purchase this business's services or products because of these things. It is inherently a apathetic act versus an
However,
aggressive.
the inevitability of the business shutting down can almost reflect that relationship to, like, inevitably, if it goes well, the company that's there loses its business and shuts down. Canceled, right? Is essentially what we have. Although, to your point, you are right. It does do it in a much more subtle way. It does it in a more way. It's like, no, you know what? I'm not going to do business with this, and so they have to make a decision. And that's another thing too. Cancel culture doesn't typically tend to give the person or the person that created the product, because cancel culture stems in a direction, but it doesn't give that particular person a choice to say, do I change my product based on society, or do I stick with my guns and say this is what I want? Cancel culture says, no, get rid of it. I'm done with it, right? You're a mob. Whereas, say, when you boycott a business, say that baker that was a homophobe, he could make a decision to say, all right, maybe I have to swallow a pill and say I'm open to all business regardless how I feel. And then he could make a living from that. He could rebound from that and say, whereas I may disagree, fine, it's business. What would you like, right? And so that always has the potential for that.
I cut you off earlier, and I didn't want to do it again.
No, you're okay. I was trying to formulate exactly how I feel on that, because I think that's because my first thought went to like the whole Gina Carano thing on
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian, thank you.
Yeah.
And about how she got canceled and stuff like that. And like, to me, like, first of all, I think that there, for the most part, should always be an opportunity for redemption. Like, like, let's say Nigel, like, let's say that dude.
I get canceled for saying the F slur a little bit ago.
Right.
referencing Dylan.
Right. And you're like, shit, guys, my bad. Like, I was quoting something and I said it, whatever. Like, I think that you should have the opportunity to grow forward from that. Like, I don't think that you should be, like absolutely fucking lambasted and destroyed because of one fuck up or one word. And like Gina Carano, I think the biggest reason that I was okay with people like wanting to cancel her is because she said whatever she said, and then she was like, basically like, I stick by it, fucking deal with it. And it was like, okay, well, you made your bed, lie in it now. Like,
I would disagree with her because she was just making an allegation. I would actually sit there. Like, if I was in Gina Carano's situation too, I'd be like, yeah, fuck off.
well, I mean, that's fine. I'm not even disagreeing with that, but my point is that I'm not even saying she's wrong or right. My point is that she held to her conviction, and that was the cost of her holding to her conviction.
Well, and is that
given the nature of it, they were asking for her to grovel to the knees to the cancel culture and say, "No, I'm really sorry." It's like, yeah, but at what point do we say like, right? Because people are trying to, and this is so God, we're going down a rabbit hole because this is where it's like, do people like Gina Carano combat cancel culture? Because that's what this ends up becoming, is a battle against cancel culture. No, I will not bend because I have the right to say what I want and you don't like it. Nor should I be canceled because of it. You're right, because, well, even that this is the nature. You either take back the mistake and keep your spotlight, or if you don't, this is what's going to happen. And she absolutely stuck with her guns and she got pulled. I kind of get that. But to the point of fighting against that cancel culture and having that certain types of rights kind of taken from you for just speaking an opinion, I see where I totally see where she was in the right.
Well, but freedom of speech is not freedom from consequences.
It is not freedom of consequences, but where are the consequences for people to tell me what I should say? So just because I make a Holocaust reference, it means now I shouldn't talk at all? Like, yeah, there's consequences, but for what? Speaking an opinion? Even if I said I dislike the gay community, you could disagree, but it's like...
Well, and fundamentally, there's a difference. So you can absolutely, like, I actually don't like that idea of like freedom of speech that does not mean freedom from consequences. I think that's like a meme that gets stretched too far because it's essentially like, well, you can actually take away someone's freedom of speech by doing so. If I sit there and I make sure that you have no platform to speak of, you cannot go out and speak in public, and that you're accosted every time that you go out and do so, then I have effectively taken away your freedom of speech. Like it's functionally the same thing. She didn't get pulled off Twitter or anything like that. She didn't get pulled off any social media platforms. But I really just don't like the freedom of speech is freedom of consequences kind of thing. Now, also, within the First Amendment as well, you have the freedom of religion to come. So within the case of like the gay baker, I don't actually think, based on what I read about that, was that he's like, I actually don't have a problem with like gay people. It's just I talked this over with like my family and my pastor and things like that. And this was like, I just can't make, like, he was willing to make a cake. He was willing to do more or less what they asked. He just went like, I'll make you the cake. You're going to have to like put the figurines on it and you're going to have to like serve it and things like that, because just this is against my religion. Like it just is. I personally look at that, and that's an interesting line to walk, because I do believe that people should have the right to practice their religion, so long as it doesn't harm anyone else. Obviously you can't sit there and be like, well, my religion allows me to fucking burn who I feel is witches. Well, you can't go do that. But like fundamentally, this guy was not harming anyone. So I don't know. I feel like labeling him as outright a homophobe is not entirely fair. It's one of those things where it's like, well, technically this is true, but there's the baggage behind the word, and is that warranted?
I mean, I think so. Like, I work with somebody who said that like her daughter told her that she was bisexual, and she was like, I totally accepted my daughter. I just told her that she couldn't bring her girlfriends home and to not be gay in front of me, and it was fine. And it's like, so you're a homophobe. Like, so you're a homophobe. Whether or not you love your daughter still doesn't mean that you're not a homophobe.
And I think homophobe comes with this like weird definition where because I'm homophobic, I have to be over the top and like, get the hell away from me, you fucking gays. Like, no, people can be a little more subtle and decent about being homophobic and maybe not even realize they're fucking homophobic.
Well, and,
like, yeah, no, I totally support her. Just don't be gay at home.
and with the baker, like I wouldn't say that
That is a little awkward.
I wouldn't say that he's like aggressively like a shitty person, but I would still call him a homophobe. Like he's still willing to do the business, but that doesn't.
But I will also say, prior to you said I would more or less go out of my way to blast him as much as I could, and I hope his business shuts down.
I mean, probably Nigel. I don't like religion either, so
I know.
Course I know.
This is where we're finding the delineation. We're trying to see
right, but
but
here's the thing, like. I'm even in that. I'm not even saying this guy is a shitty person. I'm just saying that
this was also prior to the context that we knew what was going on. We only knew it in black and white.
I'm just saying, like, I'm a gay person, and if this dude is not willing to do business fully, we'll say fully, because, you know, whatever, he would make the cake, but he wouldn't cater it, and he wouldn't put the gay stuff on, or whatever. If he's not willing to do that, in my eyes, he's a homophobe. Even if he's not a shitty person, he's still a homophobe. So yeah, I'm going to try to cut his business, because I'm trying to give him the option to, like, grow as a person. But here's my problem with me versus a lot of other people, is I'm more than willing to forgive and, like, let a dude grow if, like, let's say that was me and he wouldn't bake my cake, and then I blasted him on Twitter and Yelp, and he lost a lot of customers, and he was like, man, and he came out with a statement that was like, hey man, I fucked up, you know, I've decided that I need to grow and change, even if the reasoning is actually just because he wants to make money. The fact that he's willing to come forward and be like, hey, I fucked up, I want to move forward, like, I'm willing to do these things, all right, we square, let's do it. Like, I have no issue with you anymore. You know what I mean?
But can you understand how, like, someone who does have faith in religion, that would be something that just quite literally they could not do?
Well,
I don't think that your faith should be...
Right.
I think if you have a faith that discriminates against people for the way that most of us believe you were born, I think that faith is toxic and you don't deserve it anyway. I mean, like, I think you have every right to, like, have it as far as a right is concerned, but as far as social punishment is concerned, I think you've made a wrong fucking choice.
Come on, Jakai, what happened to the Kinsey scale? So you're just born gay?
Yes? Hello? You can be born a little gay, Nigel.
So that's really funny.
It's not, we're all born James Charles, damn it.
So that's really interesting too, because, like, so under the pretenses, because I didn't realize there's obviously more to this story of this baker than we realized, and boy, God, 20-minute video our ass, gentlemen. But
yeah. We're at an hour and 7.
I fucking knew that was gonna be the case. I'm like,
hey guys,
as if we knew how to focus on something. What you really should do, Nigel, is you should split this video. Call one of them Cancel Culture and one of them Q-Force. That way, once we start really railing off track, it's a new video.
This is true.
Oh my God, that would be so confusing. Fuck it.
But with this Baker incident, right? So this is prior. This is interesting because I'm curious to where Jakaya might lean on this one. So, given prior to the context, what we had was a very, very simplistic scenario where it was a baker that denied business for a man that was gay. Cut and dry. Should he be boycotted? I think we all agreed, yeah. Boycott does its job. It hurts the business, blah, blah, blah. It leads for the potential for some type of redemption or maybe an adjustment to the business, right? If not, it's sink or swim. Regardless, he doesn't get my money. Cool. All right. Now there's more to the scenario. You're talking more religion. You had mentioned that before, that it was a religious choice, that he didn't want to make the cake. Even then, kind of cut and dry still kind of makes it, whatever, man, it's your choice. Doesn't mean I'm going to give you business, right? Cool. Now it gets a little more intricate. And I think Jakai already answered this one too, because what was mentioned was that he said that he would go up to a certain point with this, but based on his religion would not, say again, I don't know.
The gay wedding.
Right. Or bring it to the gay wedding, or even if there was something as petty as saying, look, I only have little figurines of a man and a woman. Say he only buys them in sets and it's a man or woman. He'll probably have to tell you, you'll have to buy 2 sets because I only have man and woman sets. So you have to get 2 men. You can put them on. understand this is why religious blah 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 it may not make sense to you. That's hardly relevant. Would that still merit your boycott, even if he was decent about it?
I think that it would be like I think I would probably like, hey, don't go to that baker, rather than like really rallying people. It would be more of a, hey Nigel, that guy's a dick, don't go there.
And also,
you know what I mean?
would you give more? Because that was interesting too, right? Because I was all for boycotting a business that was homophobic and kind of nasty like that, being really mean. However, kind of seeing that there's more information to this story makes me kind of go, guy's not a complete asshole. He's just stuck between a dick and a hard place. Like, just doesn't want to do the work. So I kind of don't. Would you disclose the information completely about this guy, or would you just outright tell people like, nah, he's just an asshole?
I like to believe, and this is, whenever you talk about yourself, you're always not really sure. I
know you well enough.
I like to
I'll tell you if I think you're total shit.
I like to believe that I'm the kind of person that tries to give the full story if I know the full story. I am an aggressive person, so I might jump on something.
Sure.
But if I learn more information, I'm willing to backpedal because I've learned more information and change my thought process. At least I think so.
There's instinctive Jakaya, and then there's Jakaya who's like had a good night's sleep.
And the hardest part about
eaten, the
hardest part about this too is like once we're in the moment, once this guy absolutely like we have in our head like you're gonna deny me business because of A, B, C, and D, like what the fuck? And then you start to hear like, well, look, listen, here's why. Let me explain. Blah blah blah. A lot of loopholes. Maybe it seems excessive, and you're like, no, you know what? Forget it. I'm just curious because, like, just saying, like, how much context would you put out there? Because this is where, like, even boycotting gets fucking irritating. It's like, people boycott for the most, I don't want to say petty, but the craziest of reasons that don't have enough information. This guy's a homophobe. Well, okay, well, what happened? Like, because you could almost damn a business for that alone, but when you find out, well, all right, I mean, he might be.
Well, you're just getting into the kind of thing where it's the lie is halfway down the world before the truth has time to get up and out of bed. And
you'd be surprised though how many times we go. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'll go on Google Maps or Google or Yelp, and I'm like, hey, what's the local closest restaurant? I'll look at the fucking reviews, man, and if they're fucking rough, I'm like, maybe not.
Right.
So it does play an influence on my part. So I really hope that these reviews hold some validity. Not only that, but word of mouth is really important too, because, my buddy Josh or a few other friends have said, oh, dude, you should check out this restaurant. Or if they say, nah, this Vietnamese joint is this dump, I'm not going to go. I'm not even going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And that's damning information because it's like, well, what makes it so fucking nasty or what makes it so bad, right? I'll tend to ask these questions, but the context may not ever be clear.
I mean, ultimately, I think, so even with more information, first of all, I would probably divulge that information. I don't know if I would in a Yelp review, but that's mostly because, I don't know if somebody's going to read a 10-paragraph Yelp review.
They won't.
But like if
put angry gay guy at the top header so people know, oh shit, he was.
But if I was going to talk to like you guys about it, I would probably give you the full information. Sure. But I ultimately, as it stands, even with more information, I think boycotting is still appropriate. But I don't think even if he's just a homophobic cake maker, I don't think that suing him is an appropriate response.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because that alone is like, well, even if you told your friends that were gay, it's like, well, like, how was this guy? I mean, he's a homophobe, clearly, and he might make your cake a little difficult in the design because he's particular. He's religious. Oh, that might be enough to tell people, like, all right, I don't want to deal with that shit.
Right,
so,
right.
And that's done. As long as you've given it, like, oh, he's a fucking asshole. Like, well, I mean, he was a reasonable asshole, but he was an asshole nevertheless.
Right. Right, and again, like, to clarify, like, I don't think that makes that guy a terrible person. I think, first of all, religion brainwashes plenty of people.
I think it puts him stuck in a way, too, particularly. I think religion has its place, and I don't want to get too far into that rabbit hole. I think it has its place, but there are people that take it well too fucking hard. You have people that are like, what's the Texas incident? God damn it. Waco.
Waco?
Waco? And
the Branch Davidians?
right? You have Waco and you have Al Akbar. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, it can go far.
Waco, Westboro Baptist Church, ISIS, the Wahhabi Muslims.
And there isn't one religion that is not free from that dumbass shit. However, people use it for a sense of guidance on their moral compass, and if that's what helps them, good. As long as it puts them in a good direction.
Yeah, I mean,
but it does come with baggage.
We'll put the religion thing on hold, or else this is gonna go.
Yeah, I know.
We'll cut that. We'll save it for another time because it sounds like that actually might be a good video for a future one. It's fine, like religion versus science debate or something along those lines, or potentially just bring up the idea. God, the Ken Ham one? No, fuck no. A, that's old as fucking dog shit, and B, it's forever, and C, it's the most one-sided beating I've ever seen. So
it was good,
that's not fun.
It was really good.
But I mean, they are there. We could potentially do, like, Jordan Peterson is someone who I think makes lots of phenomenal arguments for faith in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and that's
in some ways
he's a fucking psychologist. So I mean, like that could easily be something we get into in the end. But let's bring this one to a fucking wrap here. We've all final thoughts. Really think that first of all, I guess the good question would be asked is, how many of us are going to watch this show? I think I'll probably watch it. It looks fun.
When I first watched the trailer, I linked it in my Discord and I tagged my other, especially my other gay friends, and I was like, dude, this shit looks ridiculous. Are we going to watch it? So
yeah. So is that a yes from you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. What about you, Matt?
If I catch it on Netflix, I'll probably check it out. I'll probably drag Dana along. She'll probably get a chuckle out of it. She'll probably get a laugh out of this too. She kind of enjoys silly shit like this, where it's like, oh, Jesus. So yeah, I'll probably check it out.
I think it'll definitely be one of those shows that you look at and you're laughing and shaking your head at this, one of these laughs. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
I like shows like that though, because it's over the top. It's hilarious to me, so it's good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, well, cool. So we're all gonna watch it. Netflix, please don't cancel it. It looks fun. Because we've got this direct line. Netflix, the producers at Netflix watch us, baby.
Oh, I'm so sure they do.
We're that fucking important. We're the biggest channel on YouTube. What the fuck are you talking about?
Man.
Dana jumped on our channel and she was like, "Wait, you guys got a lot of followers," and I said, "Yeah, please join."
Make a goddamn profile and subscribe, Dana. Yeah, get us up to where we can, being demonetized means something at least.
Right.
So it's overall good. Netflix, please don't cancel. Go ahead and call it there. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Scream at Walls podcast. I hope our hot takes weren't too spicy for you. And y'all have a great day.
Bye, everybody.